Following is the 671st regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting held July 11th, 2019 at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona 85007. The time is? It is 10, sir. It is 10.
I'd like to call to order the 671st regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting. It's July 11th, 2019. And we have some action items to
Excuse
consider.
me, can I take roll, please?
Oh, would you
May I?
please?
Thank you. Commissioner Coolidge?
Here.
Commissioner Garay?
Here.
Commissioner Lawless?
Here.
Commissioner McClintock?
Here.
And please note that Commissioners Garay and Lawless are appearing telephonically. And just as a courtesy to my public here, if you have to take a phone call, please take it out in the hallway. Otherwise, please either turn off or mute your phones. Thank you very much.
All right,
sir.
moving on to action items. D1, Rito Park Racing Incorporated. Consideration and approval of final three-year permit renewal, fiscal year 2018, 19, and 20. Greg?
Yes, within your packet, you did have their financials that they have provided us. Back in 2017, Rito successfully applied for a renewal of their commercial permits, which allowed them to run on their existing permit until we make a decision. We have finalized that, and we are recommending approval for their current 3-year permit.
All right. I don't see any request to speak on this issue, so
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Garay, I do have a couple of questions that I would hope either the department or maybe TRAC could address, and it's with regards to the item E, areas of concern, and I think I saw some of the same language in their permit previously, and I just want to make sure that the TRAC is financially sound, especially with the in areas of concern. The one statement about the accompanying financial statements have been prepared, assuming that the company will continue as a going concern, as discussed in to note K to the financial statements. The company has suffered reoccurring operating losses and has incurred high interest debt. I just want to be assured that they are financially sound and will be able to, if we grant this permit, be able to fund their all their financial requirements.
all right. Is there? I don't see anybody here. Oh, here's.
They're on the road,
There.
Mr. Chairman. So with respect to people that can answer that question directly, if we had 20 minutes, I might be able to get an answer for you.
All right, Rory, they're on the road.
So they're on their way to the meeting.
Apparently.
That's the plan.
There's
There
Jay
he is.
Wells. Yeah. Jay, Rory. Rory has a question for you. Would you come to the podium?
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, Tucson traffic was a little crazy. Jay Wells, Rito Park Foundation.
Rory, you want to re-ask your question?
All right, yeah, Jay, thank you for coming forward. I just had some concerns, mainly on the item E, areas of concern. I saw some of the same language, I believe, on the last 3 years ago when you applied for your permit, and I mean, just reading it, it does raise some concerns. So I want to know that you guys are financially sound and will be able to fund purses and all that, especially with what we just had happen recently this year. I want to ensure that you guys are financially sound and the purses will be funded. You know, we don't need horsemen stuck on the backside and not making any money. And again, some of this language in the E areas of concern just raised a little red flag to me.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's we've ever tried to hide that this has been a financial struggle, trying to get the place up and running, being a 501c3, having the dog track bill that set us back. But I do think that with the recent events that have happened over the last legislative session, the potential and the opportunity, more importantly, is there to kind of correct our ongoing woes. I think everyone in the room knows that we did negotiate with Turf Paradise and came up with a very, what we believe is a workable agreement to work together in Pima County, and so we endorsed their parlor opening. We'll, in return, have our 6 parlors there. Very grateful to Jerry for actually giving us back, along with the HBPA, some of the horse money. So we got back 50%, which represents the horse money, out of what we lost out of the dog bill, and that was retroactive to January 1st. So while that is a loss, that in combination with the Churchill Downs, which is growing, our Twin Spires contract is growing a little bit every month. We've got on good footing. We're at this particular point in time, and we're a lot better off, and I think our audit from this year will show that we've made great improvement over where our audit was last year. Does that say it's the end of our troubles? No, I can't say that. It's a fickle environment. I think everybody knows what's going on in the horse racing world, to know that we're all a target at this day and age. But I do believe with the potential for the 6 parlors, in fact, today we released the request for proposals, which had an items. I happen to have a copy of it with me if you'd like to hear that. But in essence, we should be able to get 6 parlors opened up here before the end of the year. That's our goal. And we've still got to get the approval of the horsemen, but we think they'll work with us. They seem willing to. So I'm more optimistic than I've ever been. The fact that we've got a good relationship with Mr. Sims and Turf Paradise, the fact that horse racing is growing with the Arizona Downs, their resurgence back and opening back up July 20th. I just feel like we're in best shape that we've ever been since I started.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I think that's it, Jay. Thanks. All right. Roy, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve Rito Parks permit?
I'll make a motion that we approve the permit as given.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Thank you. Commissioner Coolidge?
Yes.
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yeah,
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right. Item B2, TP Racing LLC request to amend the 2019-2020 race dates. Greg, you want to fill us in on that?
Yes, they put a request for this to move October 15th, 22nd, 29th, April 1st, 22nd, and 28th of 2020 from dark days to live race days. And I think we have a couple of people who want to speak on that issue.
I see that. How is the department okay with that? I mean, you have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, Leroy and Lloyd, you guys both kind of put this as one of the potential.
Leroy Gussman, the Arizona HBPA. Good morning, commissioners, directors. The HBPA has an issue with this. First of all, in our contract, if we have a contract, that's still open to arbitration, but Mr. Sims believes we still have a contract, and in our contract it states that all condition books must be run by our condition book committee, and they must be approved by our board. And in this situation, it was not. It also states that the stake schedule for the new year will be run by our board, and this was not done. It also states that the purse levels will be run by our board, and this was not done. Our goal with this board in the last 3 years has been to reduce the amount of money owed to Mr. Sims at the end of each race season. This past race season, we were indebted to him $560,000. That was down from $670,000 the year before, and that was down $700 and some from the year before that. So we were making progress on this goal of ours, not to owe him any money at the end of the year. with these additional days, that, and there are some things that all of a sudden Mr. Sims thought should change because of those two items, and because of us taking some of our money from Turf Paradise Purse account, giving it to Rito, we are going to be at least $400,000 worse off this year than we have the past 2 years. Now, when you add on 7 extra days at $70,000 a day or $75,000 a day, that's another $500,000. So we're looking, by adding these extra days, by adding the things Mr. Sims has pulled out of the closet saying we owe him on, and by changing the way that business has been conducted with the OTB splits, and giving some money to Rito, and our normal overages, we're going to be $1.5 million. And that's something this board does not want to incur that kind of debt to Mr. Sims. We want to be zero at the end of the year. We have suggested that he run 4 days a week till after January 1st, and that was ignored. We would rather run less days for more money. We can't agree to go with 131 like we did last year, but adding these extra days is something we cannot do. And if you guys remember, in the statute it says if they run less than 156, they need the HBPA's approval. And we cannot approve this schedule. Any questions?
Not really for you. I'd have a question maybe for Vince.
Jerry's also on the phone, just so you know.
I'd like to comment. This is Jerry.
Okay?
We specifically have the meetings that he says does not occur. Bob Hutton came in. I don't know if Leroy was at those meetings or not, but we had those meetings about the condition book prior to doing it. In addition, I've got to look through the contract, but I can tell you, if they have any disagreement, we have on October 3rd a binding arbitration. That's in place to bring any disputes they have. I think they will not do well with those.
So maybe we should table this item until after the arbitration? See what happens.
Good. If they, another point is, I believe in the contract, they give input, but they cannot, they don't have veto power. I think that's pretty clear. I have to look for it in the contract, but they don't have veto power on when we run.
Sounds to me like,
And I do have a question, and I do like, Jay, your suggestion of maybe tabling this, but my concern was October, I think you said, Mr. Sims, October 3rd. That's kind of close to the start of your meet. Does wait until then kind of put any hamper on anything?
Yeah, it's a good point. It doesn't seem like there's too much that we can do that the horsemen are happy about. We have the right to run those days, and we want to, we used to run 156 days. And in those days, I can tell you that if we ever lost a day to rain, the horsemen were getting the same, how could they make up that day? They didn't want to lose any betting opportunities. And it seems it's reversed itself. We want more betting, more days, more opportunities, and we think we can fill those days, especially with the folks up in Arizona Downs running. But I think we'll be able to fill those days. We're going to get probably 200 to 300 extra horses from Portland Meadows with them closing. So I would like to pass it today it's unheard of that we can't get our dates, and I don't believe the contract allows them to do that.
In a letter I have here from President Hutton to Mr. Francia, it states that in section section 14, that the track must confer with the HPBA before a condition book is published. And he states here in his letter that this was not done.
Who states it?
President Hutton.
Well, he can say what he wants, Mr. Mayor, you can speak to it, you were there at the meetings.
I will, Mr. Chairman, when Mr. Gessner does not speak.
Okay, Leroy, you want to let Vince
Sure.
present their side of the story? I'd like to ask, does the department have any feeling one way or another about whether they should run more days, fewer days?
Well, in taking that into consideration and looking at our horse becoming breakthrough, we've had some successes with what we've done. We haven't been able to pinpoint that number of race days as part of the cause, so we don't have an opinion at this point. It's basically the commission's decision to approve these increased or abbreviated race dates. So we don't have a position on it.
Okay. I think the big concern is the purse overpayment. Vince, why don't you, I guess we need to address that. I mean, that's definitely an issue.
Jay, did you bring that issue up? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Purse overpayment, if this is going to increase a larger overpayment.
We will keep purses within, as close as we can get to what the contract says, which is to zero, and shouldn't be more or less than 100,000.
What Leroy said makes sense. I mean, if you could race fewer days for more money, I think that would, I don't know, that seems like that would be something that would please the horsemen at least.
We will keep purses. The overpayment is something we're all conscious about. In the meeting that Leroy says we didn't have, we discussed it with Mr. Hutton and with Leroy in a meeting where they voiced their issue on overpayment of purses where they want less overpayment. And so do we. We both agree on that issue. And we discussed it in relation to this.
Yeah. Before Mr. Mayor speaks, Jerry, I did have a question, because there is the hearing in October. Would there be anything against, and I guess this would also be for the HBPA, anything against approving this with the condition that in October, if the HBPA should win, you guys then have to renegotiate it and get reapproval quickly from the commission?
That's acceptable.
Yes. We'll let you
Mr. McClintock, our Chairman McClintock, Acting Chairman, Director Vogt, and Director Casillas. Thank you. First of all, let me start from the beginning to address some of Mr. Gessner's concern. One is Turf Paradise does not ignore
Can you speak a little louder?
Turf Paradise does not ignore the input of horsemen, not only on purses or number of race days, but even on promotions. We listen, we take it into account, then we discuss it internally, and we make a decision. We felt that 130 days gives more opportunities for the horsemen. It helps the track because we do make money when we race. However, that is with a caveat, and it's something that's monitored daily. Now, the horsemen and turf may have disagreements from time to time. There are probably more things we agree upon than disagree upon. One thing we agree upon is nobody wants $1 million purse overpayment. When I first came to Turf Paradise in 1990, so I'm dating myself, when Bob Walker bought the track, there was a $2 million purse overpayment. So I'm familiar with what damage that can do to the racing entity as well as the company. So nobody wants $1 million purse overpayment. How do we avoid this? Every day that we race, the first thing I do is download the numbers, and I go into my financial officer, and I know right then and there exactly how much money we brought in, what we covered, what we failed to cover, and where things are going. By the first 30 days of the meet, Jesse Gertis, who is our financial officer, he and I can extrapolate, project what that purse overpayment might be 7 months from now. And so that's how we avoid it. What are the techniques you use to avoid such a purse overpayment? You eliminate days, that's one of the things you can do. You eliminate stakes, that's another. You eliminate number of races you race per day, that's another technique you can use. There's a number of tools that we have at our disposal so that we do not arrive at a purse overpayment of $1 million or more. Now, for the past 5 years, Turf Paradise has willingly stepped into the responsibility of having purse overpayments. Why would we want to do that? Because as a company, that's not in our best interest. We don't want to be owed money. We do not want to put the horsemen in that position, but we do so to maintain a purse level so the horsemen can make a living. So this isn't something that we decide idly and then just throw out there and see what happens. The summer handle so far has been up over last year. We are now entering the most lucrative time of summer for the Arizona horse players, with Saratoga opening today, Del Mar opening next Wednesday. That's when they really show up to bet. And if the trend continues, we're going to have a fine summer leading into October. Now, of course, it's up to the commission as to whether or not it wishes to approve it, but do understand, all of our advertising is out. Our calendars are out, the first condition book is out, our racing secretary is on the road recruiting, and so the word is out that we're racing these dates to these dates. We open October 12th, the horsemen come in September the 12th. For the 2 commissioners who have been out to turf, they know we're doing a lot of work. If the horses were to arrive tomorrow, we're ready to receive them. If that were to happen, we could receive them in the barn area tomorrow. But in regards to the condition book itself, the procedure was followed as it is every year. I get with the racing secretary, we go over the first condition book. This is along with Mr. Hutton, the president of the HBPA. And then everything is sent to the HBPA, is emailed to the HBPA. It was. Everything was sent to them, and I waited and waited, I didn't hear anything. It could be my bad that because I didn't hear anything, I assumed everything was all right. With the next condition book, when we send it out, I will follow with a phone call and say, you just got the second condition book, let me know what you think and let's get together on it. But we do not ignore their input, and we did not miss a step on this. We've been following it. Our relationship with the horsemen is far too important to slight them in any way or to make them feel that they have been slighted. So I want to put the commission and the department at rest. There's going to be no $1 million overpayment or anything of the kind. I can see it coming for months and months away, and by seeing it, I can take corrective action.
Just to satisfy my curiosity, what's the downside to Turf Paradise to racing fewer days for higher purses, for more money? I mean, the problem I see in Arizona in general is that we have some of the lowest purses in the country,
and one of the longest race meets.
So that kind of feeds into the catastrophic breakdown situation, because you end up with the bottom of the barrel horses. And so anyway, it seems to me like if you ran fewer days for greater purses, you might get a better quality of horse. People might bet more money on those races.
That idea has not gone without discussion among us. Again, we're taking a view of what is best for the racecourse and what is best for the horseman. Racing more days, is that better for the horsemen to give them a chance? There is merit in what you are describing. If you race less days, then you should be able to offer better purses to your horsemen. But then the other side of the sheet suffers a little bit, because when we race less days, especially on the weekends, then the track suffers. So for every idea you're going to put out there, there's an upside and a downside, and that's what you evaluate. What, if you're asking what is the ideal number of days Turf Paradise should race, I've gone back and forth with that in my mind over the course of many years. I was there when we raced 166 days, and at the end of the meet we had no purse overpayment. So all of that, of course, is a function of handle. If the handle is there, it doesn't matter if you're racing a boutique meet of 4 days or if you're racing 130 days, if the handle is there to support your purse structure. The point I really want to make to the commission, and especially to the two directors of the departments here, is we monitor this on a daily basis. It doesn't get out of my sight more than 24 hours as to what we generated the previous race day and to what that means going forward. Was it a positive day? Is there a red flag there? Has something done this or that? The subject you brought up about horse fatalities, that is something we addressed all year long with Mr. Casillas and Mr. Stiles. We are down 40%, and I did see some Facebook posts when we announced that is not good enough. It's also been announced by Turf. We're trying to get to zero. And I could be accused of being idealistic in this matter, but that's where we're trying to get to.
Well, I applaud the measures that you've taken. You guys.
An effort on everybody's part, the departments, the horsemen, all of our parts are, everybody. This was, and it will continue this year. And I have other protocols I want to bring to the attention of the director that I think are worthy of discussion as we go forward to the next meeting. If there is any note I wish to leave the commission and department on, I'm like a hawk. I mean, I am vigilant on everything. If there's a bathroom that is not working that Leroy tells me about, I'm right on it to something as more dramatic and serious as purse structure and purse overpayment. I hope that answers questions.
It does. Thanks, Vince.
Can I make a comment, this is Jerry? I want to respond to what Leroy has said. On the bottom of page 11, condition books, it talks about us meeting with them, which we did, and took input and heard their sharing the same thoughts we have on overpayments and how to keep them under control. And on the next paragraph under condition book says the HPPA condition book committee does not have veto power respecting changes that may be made from the daily from the program plan they agreed upon. But so they don't have a veto power. We take their input, which we appreciate and we respect and take into consideration. We thought long and hard about this. I thought it was in the best interest of everybody to race these extra 3 days in the beginning of the meet and 3 days at the end of the meet. We find that this last year we had plenty of horses, even without these horses which we're going to receive. And we were sitting there running just a few days a week and thought, we don't want to repeat this and do this again.
Okay. Lori, I kind of liked your idea of the conditional approval based on the outcome of the arbitration.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, Jerry, you did say you were okay with that. I would just like to hear from the HPPA
Yes.
if they would be okay with that as well.
Dave Johnson would like to say something.
Okay.
Looks like
No, go ahead, I'm signed up.
Dave Johnson, Assistant General Manager, Turf Paradise, Commissioner, Chairman, Director. One of the problems with the conditional, and this is my concern, is when you get into a month of simulcast scheduling, we're making an effort right now to sell our signal across the entire United States. I'm trying to get people to buy the Turf Paradise product, and when I tell them we are running on these days and they're trying to fit us into their schedule on those days, if we do this in the middle of the month and all of a sudden have to pull these days back, it's going to impact not only Turf Paradise, but it will also impact the purse account. It'll also send a bad message to the rest of the country. So I would highly recommend against that kind of activity.
Okay. Lloyd?
Commissioners, Chairman, Lloyd Yoser, Vice President of Arizona HBPA. I'd like to put a couple of things on record. You have what we call stakeholders. And stakeholders are management, horsemen, and the department. And they need to be notified and included in the negotiations prior to the last minute. Seems like that we do here all the time. These changes should have been done prior to the end of the last year's meeting, not 2, 3, 4 weeks after this year's meeting. And then it's put out, and supposedly was sent to the HBPA, but my understanding, I received nothing on it, and I don't know that the HBPA did. They don't understand that we are part of all the tracks. As a matter of fact, management does not understand that we are part of the stakeholders, and we have to have input into these things. And I don't know, there's nothing in the contract that says we don't have veto power. But we're not looking for veto power. We're looking for reasonable understanding that the HBPA is not willing to go into debt or be forced into debt because management wants to run extra days just to be able to keep their facility up and going. It's not good for the horsemen, it's not good for the public, it's not good for the betting public. And for whatever reason it needs to be, we need to, and you can rest assured the next contract will have veto power if necessary or whatever else is necessary from the HBPA. But if these people don't understand that the horsemen have the product and we can do as we see fit and honor our contract, then they need to learn that pretty damn quick. Thank you.
Excellent.
Lloyd, I'd just like to respond if I may. In all due respect, Bob Hutton, and I believe Leroy at one of the 2 meetings was there, and we sat down and went over this months in advance. Right after our meeting finished, you can ask Bob Hutton, and Mr. Mayor, you can tell with your recollection, we all met.
Well, in answer to that, I've been in those meetings. I've been the president of this association, vice president. I've been involved with this for 30 years, and I've been to those meetings. It's a good old boy meeting. Everybody sits around the table and BS's and kicks around stuff. Sometimes it gets heated, sometimes it gets serious, sometimes it's not so serious, but there's nobody taking notes. And when we leave there, everybody's got their own opinion of what was discussed and what was agreed upon. You, for instance, cut a deal with Rodito Park, and we cut the check this week, and you don't recall us making the deal. You call Leroy and want to know what the hell is he doing cutting the check to Rodito Park. And you made the deal without the horsemen.
That's just a minute. That's not what occurred yesterday. When Leroy called me, and Leroy, you can tell him, I told you I checked with Jesse, and I got the information. No need for us to talk. Is that not correct, Leroy?
That was after the fact, after you called him and said, what the hell are you doing cutting the check to?
Are we talking about this action item, or are we talking about something else?
Yeah, can we get back to the main subject? And we need to get through this, and I do think Rolito's coming up a little later, but we'd like to get this item taken care of.
Commissioner,
Well, my last point-
Commissioner Gore, do you have a motion?
Yeah, I will go ahead and move that we approve this with upon the condition of how the hearing on October 3rd comes out, and they may have to come back to us with an adjustment at that point in time.
I have a comment on that as well. That will work October because the first 2, 3, 4 weeks that we run, we only run 4 days. So it would work that we could come back after our arbitration.
Okay,
Second.
good. Okay. Moved and seconded.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Coolidge already did, Mr. Lawless.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do the roll.
Motion. Roy, do you want to identify the hearing date on October 3rd as part of your motion?
Yes, October 3rd, I believe is the hearing date.
He already said that. Okay, and the second agrees with that? Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Coolidge?
Yes.
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yeah.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Okay, then this has been approved conditionally to the outcome of the arbitration hearing scheduled for October 3rd, 2019. If there are any changes, then this matter comes back to the commission for a revisit.
Action item number 3, disposition of the Gila County Fair Association return of county fair grant funds. A, carry return funds over to the next fiscal year's awards pool. B, disperse return funds equally to other recipients, Santa Cruz County Fair and Rodeo Association and Cochise County Fair, in the amount of $10,000 each. Greg?
You may remember earlier this year, you guys awarded 3 county fair grants. You awarded Santa Cruz and Cochise County, which they got a total of $40,000, and Gila County got $20,000. The reason why that award was because Gila, in their application, did not commit to a live meet. Since you awarded that grant, Gila had contacted us, and they had decided to not take the grant on the notion that they were afraid that it would affect future grants as far as live racing. So they didn't think $20,000 was enough for them to commit to live racing. So what that has caused is that they had refused the grant. Since we put this out, we've done some additional research, and I do believe our legislative team is here. The cap for each county is $40,000, so the option B, I do believe, would not be an option for you. It would be A, to carry over. And so that would be your choice.
Okay, so in that case, I'd entertain a motion.
Yeah.
Before your motion, would you allow Aidan Plumby to come up and give a
Absolutely.
clear,
I'd like to hear
detailed
from Aidan.
explanation, please?
Mr. Chair, only if there are any questions. For the record, Aidan Fleming with the Arizona Department of Gaming. Greg described it perfectly. Essentially, we have a $40K cap for each recipient for every year. So the easiest way to deal with this would be to carry forward the $20,000, and then if Gila wants to come forward for the full amount this year, $40,000, there would be that extra 20 in there. So it would just basically bolster the award for this upcoming year.
But it's still going to be a $40,000 cap.
Mr. Chair, yes, it would be a $40,000 cap. It's a 2-year grant, so they also have to put up, if we went with option B and it was allowed, the recipients have to put up 50% of the award. So this would actually end up causing the other 2 counties costing a little bit more money if we rolled that money to them as well. So probably the best option forward would be option A, to roll it forward with everyone with clear eyes going into the grant for a new year. And the amount we would have would be $120,000 for this upcoming grant year. So hopefully we get a lot of participation.
Okay, thanks, Aidan.
So I'll motion that we approve option A. Carry return funds.
I'll second that.
Fiscal year award pool.
Okay.
Okay. So Commissioner Coolidge?
Yes.
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yeah.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. This money will be put back into the fund for next year.
Okay. Action item 4, Arizona Downs request to amend 2019 race dates. I've kind of been forewarned that we might want to go into executive session to discuss this before we act.
That is
on it.
correct. I definitely would have liked to go into executive session to get some legal advice regarding this issue.
So is that your motion?
In that regard?
Make a motion that we go into executive session for the Arizona Downs request to change live race date.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Coolidge?
Yes.
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yeah.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Thank you. This commission is now recessed for the executive session. The time is 10:39. Thank you. Okay.
Only because Cassie.
The following is the second open session of the 671st regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting held on July 11th, 2019 at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona 85007. The time is, you ready?
Okay, I'd like to resume the 671st regular meeting of the Arizona Racing Commission. Cassie, please.
The time is 10:57. Commissioner Coolidge?
Here.
Commissioner Garay?
Here.
Commissioner Lawless?
Here.
Commissioner McClintock?
Here.
Thank you. We have our quorum, and please, as a reminder, if you have a cell phone, either silence it or turn it off completely. If you must take a call, please take it out in the hallway, so as not to disturb the other participants. Thank you. It's all yours, sir.
Okay, well, we have 3 people signed up to speak on this issue. And please keep your comments to the 3-minute limit. Leroy, you're signed up. If you got anything you want to say, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Leroy Gussman, HBPA. This is from President Hutton. This is, he asked me to relay this to you because he wasn't able to do the phone thing, I guess, for some reason. Anyway, he wants to know how all this Arizona thing could possibly happen. Was it a poorly executed business plan by Arizona Downs? Did our industry regulators not properly do their due diligence to make sure that the money was there? Was it because of outside interference getting in the way of year-round racing in Arizona? He feels there should be an investigation and it should be determined how this happened. And he wanted me to tell you, as an organization, the Arizona HBPA cannot and will not stand for something like this to happen again. Now I will say what I have to say. And that day when Tom Arthur, I felt sorry for him, but when he had to get up there and tell all those horsemen, I felt a whole lot sorrier for all those horsemen that were sitting. At least 100 and some horsemen were in that room and had to hear that news. That was devastating to the horsemen. So we just need, I'm confident now that Mr. Barrow will come through, and I'm confident that the money will be there now. But we got to make sure stuff like this don't happen again. That's all I got to say.
All right, thanks, Leroy. Lloyd, you're signed up also.
I may have said enough.
You said enough? I don't know. You never said enough. Stacy, how about you?
Sure. Thank you, commissioners and board. I appreciate you taking the time to hear what I have to say. I am one of the people that were up in Arizona.
I'm sorry, please identify your name on the record.
Stacy Campo.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm one of the many horsemen that took the chance to actually enjoy year-round racing again, especially, you know, having my whole entire barn and farm in Waddell that I trained for my father are Arizona bred. You know, we only get a small portion of the year that we actually get to play with our breeds. And just to have year-round racing again, holy, that is just the most amazing thing to be able to sit there and have, I just won a race up there right before it closed. And it was one of my breed. And there's more people that are talking about coming from California, coming from even the people in Arizona that have taken the break from racing just because that place opened, they got their license back. And they're actually training for the first time since it closed 10 years ago. So, you know, those are the people that, you know, are trying to sit there and have the stock for Arizona. You know, the minute that we got that excuse me. Okay, it's hard because this is our life. This is our livelihood. We produce a stock for 2 tracks in Arizona, 3 tracks in Arizona. And, you know, when you work 7 days a week and you have these horses that are just amazing, and it's a tough business to be in. If anybody knows, if you're in California, I feel like Arizona is sitting better here in Arizona than they are in California right now. It's a frightening thing. Where I got people, my friends that are trainers and breeders over there saying, we're not sure what we're going to do, but we're talking about maybe coming to Arizona with their lower stock, you know, the ones that aren't going to make it going back east. You know, and that's going to be more horses for Turf Paradise. That's going to be more horses for Arizona Downs. We need it to be year-round. We need it to be there, even though we had a hard hit. And, you know, we sat there and talked after that meeting and felt bad for Tom. But, you know, just to deal with the horsemen, you would never understand how close we are and how amazing it was after that meeting, how we all grew together and said, what can we do to make this change? I'm telling you, half of us made phone calls ourselves personally. I called everybody from Kentucky all the way across to California and said, hey, this is something that needs to happen. And with everybody coming together and such a huge, gigantic family, and it's not just Arizona Downs, it's Turf Paradise. That's our home. That's our bread and butter. And that's, I mean, we have the chance to have the stock to come down to Turf Paradise, which I'm one of the farms that slows down in the summertime, you know, just due to the fact I have breed, that I don't run in the summertime. And I'm not ready usually to run until December. I'm actually going to hit Turf Paradise in October. I'm going to hit them hard. I'm going to win the races. You know, and I have that opportunity thanks to Arizona Downs and thanks to the people that have decided this should happen for us horsemen. You know, we've worked really, really hard over the years to produce stock for turf, but it's hard when we have to take a break in the summertime. Not all of us can go cruise over to Canterbury or go into another state. It's so easy. People think that we can just pick these horses up. $1,200, you know, a horse's ship, you know, they don't understand. So them opening, and even though we had the biggest low of our life hit us, we're on the biggest high right now, and we'd hate to have that be taken away.
Thanks, Stacy.
Thank you.
I think everybody in this room wants year-round racing in Arizona. But there are rules that have to be followed, regulations. It's a government-run or ruled or entity. So with that said,
Yeah, I'll jump in. I couldn't agree more. And as the horseman stated, I feel like there should be an investigation that, you know, where are we? And A, how did this happen? And then B, financially, what are the obligations? What legally do we need to do? And how do we move forward on that? As the chairman stated, I think everyone on this commission, I know everyone on this commission wants racing to succeed in Arizona. Nationally, you're seeing racing under a microscope, and we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing. With that said, we need to make sure we're doing the right thing the right way, not cutting corners and not doing anything else. So with that, I'll motion that we conditionally approve the date change based on the department's evaluation and sign off.
I will second that.
Okay,
And
Commissioner.
do agree there needs to be an investigation into what the hell happened here.
Thank you. Commissioner Coolidge?
Yes.
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yeah.
Commissioner McClintock?
yes,
Okay, our motion has carried to approve on condition of the department's evaluation.
okay. Item C, the budget report, Director Casillas.
Jason, you're off, provide an update.
Chairman, Commissioners, Jason LaForce from Department of Gaming. I'm here for a quick budget update. As you know, July is the beginning of our fiscal year, so we were closing out last fiscal year and starting a new one. Last year, our operating budget for the Division of Racing was $1.9 million, and in all intents and purposes, that's what we spent to operate our regulatory agency. Going forward to this new fiscal year, there was a 13.25% increase, bringing the budget to $2,152,400.
Good.
Do you have any questions that I could answer at this time?
We just, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, committee reports. American Greyhound Racing.
Good morning. No update.
All right, thank you. Arizona Downs.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ann McGovern. I'm the General Manager at Arizona Downs, and thank you for the opportunity to address you today. Another thank you for conditionally approving our new racing schedule. I know that is a difficult decision, and I applaud you for doing that. I'd also like to say that Arizona Downs would welcome an investigation into what happened here. I personally believe there were some outside influences that affected our ability to perform a business plan that was very well thought out and should have been successful. It's our intention to provide year-round racing in Arizona for the benefit of not just ourselves, obviously, but for the other tracks in Arizona and for the horsemen. The horsemen's meeting, as Leroy and Stacy described, was in fact devastating. To me personally, I've been in racing a long time, and it was one of the most awful meetings I've had to sit through. Prior to that meeting, we had a meeting with our employees to tell them the unfortunate news, and just as devastating for them. And I'd like to say how proud I am to be working with the group of employees we have at Arizona Downs. Not only did they handle the news with professionalism and grace, the first thing they said was, what can we do to help? How can we make this better? When can we start racing again? Our ownership are a group of fine gentlemen who have done everything they said they would do. And I applaud their efforts for stepping up and bringing their own financial wherewithal to the table, as well as their business experience. I would like to take a moment to introduce Mike Barrow to you and ask him if he'd like to finish my remaining 3 minutes by introducing himself to you guys. Mike. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Hi, my name is Mike Barrow. I've been a horseman for 26 years and on the board of the ATVA as well. Thank you, Commission, for allowing me to speak. Our motivation to help this track finish its feet, my wife and I, is really about kind of where Stacy was going. We want to see year-round racing. Obviously, we want to help out a lot of people that were in a real bad way when this situation happened. So that's our motivation, is truly just to help people that are in the horseman community that I've known 26 years. And we're able to do that by granting a loan to Arizona Downs to complete the meet. So that's our position on it, is strictly kind of an angel investor to try to save the meet, save the future of Arizona Downs, and have year-round racing.
We commend you for it.
Yeah, thanks, Ron.
Thanks.
I will make one note to Arizona Downs, in that I hope that you work with the horsemen to get your financials in order and make sure that they get over to the department sooner than later so you can get this meet date.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Anyone from the county fairs? Rito. 3 minutes, Jay.
Jay Wells, Rito Park Foundation. Thank you again for approving our permit. We're busy working forward to opening up the parlors, working with everyone in Arizona to kind of get a cooperative thing. And this is the first chance that I've had to actually speak to you since the close of Army. And one of the things that we were very, very proud of was our equine wellness program. And we, working along with the Ag College at the University of Arizona, we actually had 0 fatalities. And it was a combination of not just race day inspections on the horses, but after the race they inspect them again to see if there was any sort of tenderness or anything. And more importantly, the students were there on every day of training to monitor those horses, so they got to know them. If there was something suspect, they monitored, they brought it out. And the trainers themselves, then knowing that there were eyes on them, sometimes pulled horses. I think we ended up having 27 scratches, and of those, like 19 were voluntary scratches where they pulled them out because of issues with their health. This is something that I think everybody in this room can agree on, is that we don't address it, we're going to be missing an opportunity to put Arizona in a good light in a bad time. with the focus on horse racing and horse racing fatalities, we got a chance to kind of lead the way, or at least show the way, to the bigger tracks around the country. And what I'd like to do is suggest that as industry folks, we all get together, bring in some trainers, bring in veterinarians, bring in folks along the lines of what Greg's done with equine wellness, but that's more of a reporting thing. And this might be something to generate protocols that as a state, and everyone participating in horse racing in the state, we collectively get together and figure out how to minimize this. We know we can't eliminate it, but minimize as best we can. Rito's excited about working for our next year's meet. We're in negotiations with the county for an extension past 2021. We're in better financial footing than we've been in a long time. We're still in a hole, but the hole's getting shallower daily, and with the opening of the parlors, that should really help us out. We look forward to hoping that everyone will come down and see us next spring when we get ready. We'll be applying for dates soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Tucson Greyhound Park, Alicia.
Well, the dog track has nothing new to say here.
All right, thank you. Turf Paradise.
I'm happy for the horsemen up north, Commissioner.
Thanks, Vince. Optional Industry Stakeholder Association updates. This is limited to officers or officially designated spokespeople, not to exceed 3 minutes. Arizona Counties Racing Association. The Arizona Greyhound Association.
I think we could probably remove them from the list because I don't believe they're an organization anymore.
You want to make a motion to do that?
I can take a
I don't
moment.
know if we can make a motion in
It's
in
not
this.
necessary.
Okay,
Part of
not
the-
necessary.
Yeah.
Never mind. They're
Thank
off.
you.
They're out of here. Arizona Quarter Horse Racing Association. Arizona Thoroughbred Breeders Association.
Nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
HBPA.
I couldn't pass. Leroy Guest from the HBK. I just want to say that this situation at Arizona Downs, I want to commend the Arthur brothers. Tom was in communication with me, with the horsemen constantly. We knew what was coming. We knew how hard they were working to avoid it. The other thing that I thought was really special with them is they could have just said, this is it, it's over, it's done. You guys pick up your stuff and get out of here. But they didn't do that to the horsemen. They let them stay there and train while they worked and looked for someone like Mr. Barrow. And I thought that was really good of them to allow that to continue on. And they committed for 30 days to keep it open while they were looking. Also, I just want to thank Mr. Barrow for the horsemen. They really appreciate him and his wife stepping up and making this loan available. I spent quite a bit of time with Mr. Barrow yesterday. He's very sincere, and I know he'll come through. And I'm just glad for the horsemen and are very happy that they can finish out the meet. Thank you for approving it.
Thanks, everybody. All right, anybody from the Jockeys Guild? That's what I thought. All right. I guess the next step would be to identify any matters that need to be placed on future agendas. Anybody have?
This is not an item to put on the future agenda, but I would just like to remind everyone, I know we're a really close-knit community, but any communications that are going to the commission, please send them first to the commission secretary so they can be disseminated to all of us. Do not be sending us information directly. Please send it to our commission secretary.
You think we need to summarize the current events affecting the Arizona Racing Commission? I think it's pretty well been summarized. And the call to the public, everybody who signed up has spoken. So the next regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting is tentatively scheduled for 10 a.m. Thursday, August the 8th. 2019, in this building, in this room, on this floor, and subject to change based on a quorum. For current information about the Arizona Racing Commission meeting schedule, please visit the Arizona Department of Gaming Racing Division website or call Cassie Goodwin at 602-771-4263. Hope that's your person.
Motion.
All right, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I need a motion first.
Oh, I thought you were. So much.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Coolidge?
Yes.
Commissioner Goray?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yeah.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned and it is 11:17 a.m.